Very good morning once again. Welcome to the weekend. I'm Matt Stadden with you until 5 here on LBC2. Rollicking conversations already this morning, and I want to keep up the pace too, because we're going to be talking about a very controversial question. Should we in this country ban the burqa? UKIP leader Paul Nuttall says that UKIP would ban the burqa if they win power. Do you think he's right? Or do you think it is an infringement of personal freedom? Not to mention religious freedom as well. There are so many strong views on either side of this argument. We've talked about it in a slightly different context on LBC a few weeks ago now. And we had a Muslim woman who called up and said that it wasn't part of the Quran to wear the burqa. It wasn't part of the established Islamic religion, as I understood what she was saying to mean, and she didn't think that the burqa really did have a place in British society. But what do you think this morning? Last Sunday, the deputy leader of UKIP, Peter Whittle, joined my colleague Andrew Castle right here on LBC to explain why the party does want to ban the burqa in public. Let's listen to what he had to say.
We think the time has come now for a proper ban on full face coverings. This would bring us into line with other European countries such as France and Belgium. I think that the point about this is that the burqa, or the niqab, which covers a woman's face completely, is a quite literal barrier to integration. And I think that it's something that worries people a huge amount, yet nobody will do anything about it. The burqa signifies as well female oppression in a big way. I think that it is wrong that women should have to wear this, and I think the idea that they choose to wear it, I think, is a fallacious one.
Well, as I understand it, the niqab is actually a veil for the face that leaves the area around the eyes clear. And I'm not sure whether that was Peter Whittle's understanding of it or not. Maybe I misunderstood. It may be worn with a separate eye veil, though. Actually, the niqab is worn with an accompanying headscarf. Do you agree with UKIP's basic policy here or not? We'll go to Abbas in Redbridge shortly, but before we do, I want to hear from the leader of UKIP himself, Paul Nuttall. He was speaking on Andrew Marr's show on the BBC last Sunday. This is what he had to say.
Obviously, we have a heightened security risk at the moment, and for CCTV to be effective, you need to see people's faces, because whether we like it or not, in this country, there's more CCTV per head than anywhere else on the planet, with the most watched people, and for that to be effective, you need to see people's faces. Secondly, there's the issue of integration. I don't believe that you can integrate fully and enjoy the fruits of British society if you can't see people's faces. And look at some of the statistics. 58% of Muslim women are economically inactive. 22% don't speak English to any great level. What we need to do is we need to ensure that these people are fully integrated into British society.
Well, if you go to Twitter and at LBC, simple enough to do. If you have a phone that operates Twitter or indeed a computer, you can join in our very own Twitter poll on LBC. Should we ban the burqa in the UK? 63% of you so far say yes, 37% say no. But what do you think? Call me now, 0345 60 60 973. Abbas then is in Redbridge. Good morning to you, Abbas.
Hi there. Good morning, Matt. Great show as usual. Matt, I believe that a lot of this rhetoric is just to win cheap votes and nothing else. Because the reality is, the segments you just aired earlier, they have a lot of assumptions, and the assumptions are that this is somehow these women are being forced to do it. They're being coerced to do it. That's an assumption. And when you make assumptions, the problem is that all you do is you make those assumptions to feed your predisposition because you believe certain things are true, and then you just simply make assumptions to fit that skewed sense of reality. The reality here for Muslims, for most Muslims, is that they don't wear the niqab. It's a very, very small number of women that actually choose to do so. The vast majority of scholars don't say that the niqab actually is compulsory, that a woman has to wear it or she should wear it. But if a woman decides of her own accord that she wishes to wear it, to then force her to take it off, force her not to allow her to wear it, is quite frankly ridiculous.
Well, Abbas, let me give you my view. I don't normally sit on the fence, and by the end of this hour I want to come out with a very strong and reasoned argument one way or the other. Previously on LBC, I found surprised myself really in feeling that perhaps the burqa should be banned. I came out in favour of its banning. I'm not so sure anymore, but I would say this to you, that it certainly, for me, feels like a symbol of misogyny. That women are, whether out of their own choice or whether through pressure, direct pressure from men or pressure from a misogynist strand of a following of a religion, seems to me like it is a very misogynistic thing to do, and I don't like it. It is a symbol for me of misogyny, no doubt. Now, even if you have a situation where a woman is forced somehow, or intolerable pressure is put on her by a man, by her husband, or by a member of her community or friendship group who is a man, is somehow there's pressure applied, we are not going to, or the state is not going to know whether that is the case or not. So there is an argument for public policy reasons to say that to protect those women who might be forced to do it or feel intolerable pressure, that even though some, maybe the majority, conceivably all women who wear the niqab or the burqa, even if they do it out of choice, there may be some that don't, and therefore to protect them we need to ban it.
But you see, Matt, again, with all due respect, you've made a lot of assumptions there. And we should never deal with policy or build policy on assumptions, because the problem is those assumptions are often subjective, aren't they? And the media and all sorts of other things will influence those subjective assumptions that you've just made. And to argue the point that because some of them might be forced to do it, we should ban all of them from not being allowed to do it, is ridiculous.
I don't think it's ridiculous. I don't think that's ridiculous at all.
Well, how far do you take it then? Because then, for example, women who wear a headscarf, you could argue the same point there.
I don't argue the same point there. I think the idea that women wear headscarves because, and if this is the case, because they should somehow show greater modesty than men, I find that offensive. But I would draw the line, if I'm going to draw the line, and I haven't decided yet, and I want to be persuaded one way or the other over the next 50 minutes. But I would, if I was going to draw a line, I would draw the line with a full veil, or even a veil that just allows for the eyes to be seen. I find it very offensive, Abbas.
Well, okay, let's say a woman likes to wear a scarf, and she likes to wear that scarf covering most of her face. Are we going to tell her to take the scarf down, even though it might be cold, and she might say, well, I like to cover my face, thank you very much? Are we going to do that? Look, we should only change
No,
laws.
I don't think we would do that. I don't think we would do that, because I think men and women equally, if it is really cold and they want to cover their face in order to protect themselves from the whipping snow, which I haven't really experienced in England for some time, I must say, if ever, then I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, but Matt, my point here is this. When we construct laws or change laws or we ban things, we do it for the betterment of society. The problem here is that a lot of assumptions are being made, and then we're trying to change legislation built upon those assumptions.
I understand your point, but what do you say, Abbas? What do you say to Chancellor Angela Merkel? She is a woman known for her tolerance. Germany allowed 1 million refugees to come in, didn't they, in a very short space of time, a far more generous refugee policy than we have in this country. And she said on the 6th of December, the day before my birthday last year, that the wearing of full-faced veils should be prohibited in Germany wherever it is legally possible. And what do you say to the French? Because the burqa is banned in France. I think it's banned in Belgium as well. In 2010, the city of Barcelona announced a ban on full Islamic face veils in some public spaces, such as municipal offices, public markets and libraries. So UKIP are not on their own on this.
Well, they might not be, but you've raised a lot of points there. First of all, Angela Merkel and most of Europe shifting to the right, I think, are two separate things anyway.
If you see that as on the right, you might see it as a promotion of liberal values.
Well, the thing here is this, Matt. We just seem to be going through an absolute barrage at the moment of, Muslim women are all somehow oppressed. They are all somehow, subdued.
I don't hold that view at all.
Well, a lot of people do, unfortunately, and a lot of the views that I hear are incredibly ignorant about, about Islam. People's snippets of information that they seem to get are from very dubious sources, and they build assumptions, they build policies built upon those. So my point here is this, that if we find out through analysing, through statistics, through interviewing people or giving questionnaires or whatever else we do to find out, actually we found that, yes, quite a lot of these women are being forced and being coerced to wear these face veils, then yes, we can look at the legislation and we can actually change it to stop victimization or oppression of any people. But the reality here is that we live in a Western country. If a woman is forced to wear her niqab, she can just simply go around the corner and take her niqab off.
Well, you say that it's not so easy. It's not so easy, is it? If you are, and I'm not saying that anyone is, because I don't have the evidence. But if you are a victim of male oppression, that's not so easy, Abbas. Look, good to hear your view as always, Abbas. And this is a very fraught subject. I'm not surprised that you feel strongly in one direction.